guys, I'm Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing another recent reads video. I know I just did one last week. Actually, I don't even know if I'm posting these in a row. I'm filming them in a row, but I'm very sorry about that. But I have a lot of books to talk about because I haven't updated in like 3 or 4 months of reading. So I have a lot to talk about. So I'm very sorry about that if you don't like these videos, but sorry. Hopefully I will do some different videos soon. So anyways, like always, if you want further information on these books, I will have all my Goodreads reviews linked in the description. So if you want more details on my content, other thoughts I may have forgotten to mention here, so on and so forth, you can check those out there. Some of these books I read back in like November, so I may not remember all the details or all my thoughts on them, so if you want more of that, I would recommend checking out those reviews. So we're gonna just jump right in with the first one, and this is actually a picture book. My friend published her first picture book this year, and that is Stan the Snail Finds His Purpose by Angela R. Watts. This is just a really cute little picture book about the snail named Stan finding his purpose, and it's really cute. She illustrated it too, and yeah, I thought it was very adorable, and yeah, I would recommend this if you have kids or if you like picture book. I thought this was really cute. I gave it 4 stars. Okay, the next book I have to talk about, I got this as an ARC from the author, so thank you very much to Noelle for giving me a copy of this book, and that is, I hope I said this right, Eidolon's Honor. Eidolon, I believe, is how you say that. This is the 3rd book in the Shadows Creed Saga series by Noelle Nichols. This is an Asian fantasy series, and there's not too much I can say about this book because it's the 3rd in a series. It's the biggest in the series, and yeah, I've really enjoyed this series. Like I said, it's Asian fantasy, and we're just following the characters as they continue to look into these skills, which is kind of like a magic system that's tied into nature. They're looking into that, plus they're having kind of some friction in the Shadows group, which is a group of warriors who protect and look after the people, but there's some kind of friction in them, so we're trying to fix that. And yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars. It was very relaxing. I mean, like, there's action stuff, so that doesn't really make sense, but it was very relaxing. I felt it was very calming. I really love the author's nature descriptions, and yeah, just her characters are really growing and maturing in a lot of ways. One of the characters, he's a new one that we didn't have a point of view from beforehand. Siren, I believe is how you say his name. He kind of annoyed me at first, but I kind of grew to understand his point of view. Hopefully he continues to grow and I continue to like him more. But yeah, for a while I was kind of like, okay, just like, you're annoying me. But he grew and he got better. So yeah, I would recommend this series if you like the Asian type fantasy. I would say it's similar to like Avatar: The Last Airbender if you like that TV series, and just any type, if you like anime, manga, that type of thing, it very much has that vibe. So if you like that type of stuff, very much I would recommend the series. Also, if you like the manga or the anime of Rurouni Kenshin, this very much has that flavor to it. So yeah, definitely recommend it if you like any of those things. Or if you don't, or you're just curious about Asian fantasy in general, this is a really good series. I highly recommend. Okay, the next one I have to talk about, this is a whole section of like manga and comics, actually just one comic, but I read Star Wars The Clone Wars, Hero of the Confederacy. This is a, obviously it's just a little comic set during the Clone Wars, and in it we're following the Jedi. They're, you know, trying to bring peace to the galaxy and stuff like that, but Anakin Skywalker ends up getting framed by the Separatists for supposedly killing somebody. He did not shoot though. He did not fire the starfighter that killed the guy, but it has made this one particular planet that they were trying to get on their side, it has made them enter the war for the Separatist side, and now their main guy, let's see, what was his name? I don't remember. But anyways, there was a particular guy, the son of the man who was killed, who he thinks Anakin did it, and he's kind of just going after him, and it's kind of that whole conflict. I thought this would be very centric on Anakin, and it kind of is, but it also is just playing into a bigger role of the whole war effort and stuff, and so I was a little disappointed on that front. It also focused a lot on like Count Dooku, who's not my favorite person in the world, but it did make sense for the story. I'm also not a fan of the graphics. It's very, let me see if it's very dark. Most of the time you can't see what's going on. I mean, it fits the tone of the story because it's kind of a darker type story and grittier and stuff like that, so it does fit for that, but the graphics are not my favorite. Most comic book graphics don't seem to be my favorite. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the drawing type or I just haven't found a particular comic book artist that I like, but yeah, overall this was really good. I also really like the fact that if you know anything about Star Wars, you know Anakin's kind of reckless. He just jumps into things and sometimes doesn't always think things through, even when he's doing something for the good of people. And I really liked how he was definitely trying to make this guy see that he didn't kill his father. He didn't have anything to do with it. Anakin was actually actively trying to show the guy some mercy, and not that he never did as Anakin Skywalker, but yeah, it was just really showed his character in that moment of just how much he does truly care about people, and he was just trying to help the guy. I really enjoyed this comic, and yeah, I gave it 3 stars. Alright, and the next 2 I had to talk about are manga, and I can't say a lot because they're like further into a series, but the first 2 I read was Orange Future and Orange to You, Dear One. These are the 6th and 7th volumes of the Orange series. These are like contemporary, like high school type stories with a time travel flair to them, and I really, really enjoyed these. Orange Future I gave 4 stars. This, we follow a side character, Suwa, and just his point of view of the whole situation with Orange, which basically, in the story of Orange, if you've never heard of it, basically this high school girl, Naho, she just wakes up one morning and she gets a letter from her future self 10 years into the future telling her to save her classmate, Kakeru, from dying. So, and it's that storyline, it follows that whole thing, and yeah, this just continues it from more the future angle, from the characters from the 10-year future line as opposed to the now new present line. So yeah, I really enjoyed this, and I gave it 4 stars. I then read Orange to You, Dear One, and this is the final volume. We're following, basically, the first few chapters are following like the different friends' perspectives on the situation, and I really like that. It really showed more into these already very dynamic and very vibrant characters, more of their personalities and stuff, so I really enjoyed that, and the rest of it is mostly told from Kakeru's perspective, which is interesting because the majority of Orange is told from Naho's perspective, and obviously this one is told from Sua's perspective. So it was really interesting seeing Kakeru and just how he thought about this whole situation that went down. And yeah, I really love this. I always thought the ending of the omnibus, the second omnibus, which I think is technically volume 5, I always thought that was the best ending, but this ended up being the ultimate best ending. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed this. I gave this particular volume 5 stars. And these were also gifted to me by a friend, so that makes them also special. Okay, the next 2, I really can't say much about these, and that is volume 39 and 40 of Yona of the Dawn. This is a fantasy manga series, and I can't say much because we're way in the series. I do know we're in our final arc of the series, so basically we're nearing the end, and I don't know how many more volumes it will take to near the end, but I'm both very, very happy about it and also very, very sad because soon it will be over. But yeah, these were amazing. I buddy read these with my friend Laura. I will leave a link to her channel down in the description so you can check out her and see all her manga recommendations if you're interested. But yeah, we just had a blast reading these together and just talking about what was going on. Yeah, and just, let's just say there's a big battle going on, and there's still no clear ending in sight. So yeah, I really love these though. I look forward to each and every one of them. Volume 41 doesn't release until May. And the way this one ended is kind of like, I kind of need to know what's gonna happen. But yeah, I really love this series. I gave both of these volumes 5 stars. Obviously, I mean, I adore this series. It's my favorite manga series. So yeah, very excited for the next few volumes, and yeah, I'm just really happy I got to read these. Okay. And the last set of manga I want to talk about is, these were a gift from my friend, and yeah, that is My Happy Marriage. I'll just show the first volume because of the glare. This is a series I was on the fence about reading because it sounded like something I would like. Basically, this is kind of like the Asian-inspired version of Cinderella, because we follow our main character, Mayo, I believe is how you say her name. She's been basically, in this world, there's like, people are born with like certain magical gifts. The magic system is, I'll just say right now, the magic system is not very clearly said what it is. I mean, like, they've talked about it, but I'm like, I don't quite understand it. I think this is an adaptation of the light novel series, so I'm thinking there might be more details in that. But anyways, in this world, people are like born with certain magical powers, and Mayo was like supposed to have the most powerful magic due to her mother's line, but she is born without any gifts. So basically, she's treated like nothing. She's basically resorted to being a servant in her own house. Her family treats her like dirt. Her father hates her. Her stepmother and stepsister treat her less than dirt. They treat dirt better. So she has a very low opinion of herself, and basically her father basically decides to marry her off to this Lord Kudo, who basically has like rejected all of his fiancés and stuff, and he's like never accepted anybody. So they're just like, yeah, whatever, we'll just toss our disgusting daughter on him because, you know, we need to marry her off and look respectable, and, you know, we don't really care. So they think he's like cruel and he has like a reputation for being supposedly cruel and stuff, and so they ship her off to him, and Mayo discovers that Lord Kudo is actually really nice. He's a nice guy. He's not cruel at all, and he actually treats her like a human, and it's their story. Basically, they're getting to know each other, they're starting to like each other, and it's just their story and everything that goes down with it. I really enjoyed this. The depictions of abuse, though, are really, really hard. Mayo is not treated well by her family, and it gets kind of worse in the next 2 volumes because of certain situations I can't really go into because there's spoilers. But, yeah, just, she starts off kind of mousy at first. I mean, obviously from her upbringing and stuff, and it's just seeing her hurt so much and then seeing her grow just in 3 volumes. She grows so much, and she just overcomes a lot of her own mental battles. She's still battling stuff, but she's overcoming it, and I just admire her so much. She is just amazing, and she's making the best of it, and she's truly coming out of her shell and becoming just this wonderful person that we all knew she was, but she's just slowly showing it now. And Lord Kudo, he's kind of, I'm not sure what you'd call him. He's not brisk. He's kind of serious. He's just very serious. So, like, he very rarely smiles and stuff like that, but he just really gets attracted to Mayo, and he just likes her because she's not throwing herself at him. Like, she doesn't just want his money or his power or something like that. She just wants to be cared for, and, like, she doesn't even want that at first. She just wants a home. But yeah, and then he just gives that to her. I also like his, I'm not sure what she is, Yuri. I think she's almost like been like, caretaker is the wrong word because he's not old enough for a caretaker. I mean, he's not that old, but she's like been around his whole life as from a young boy to now she's almost like his grandmother, but I don't think they're related at all. But she's a sweetheart. I love her. I love all these characters, and just, yeah, this is an amazing series. I will say what I was going to say earlier about the abuse stuff. There is a lot of physical, mental, and verbal abuse. There's some emotional abuse in there too, because yeah, you can't avoid that with all this stuff. So sometimes it's really hard to read. So if you're triggered by any of that, this may be a really hard series for you to read. But the thing is that makes it great is that Mayo is overcoming it. Even in 3 volumes, she's overcome a lot of it. And she is still growing and still overcoming it. And she's an amazing character, and I love her. I hope she and Lord Kudo keep growing closer. I'm very excited to continue reading this series. I'm very grateful to my friend Laura for giving me these volumes. They were amazing. I'm just really glad I ended up reading them due to her influence. And yeah, so I gave the first volume 4 stars, and the second and third volumes I gave 5 stars. So yeah, and I had the light novel on hold at my library too, so hopefully I'll be able to read that and give an update on whether like the fantasy stuff, like the magic stuff, is better detailed than that. So yeah, I'm very excited about that. Okay, so the next few ones I don't have, so let's just get into it. I have 3 books from the same universe, 3, not 2, that I'm going to talk about, and these are from the Superhero Universe by H.L. Burke. The first book is Power Through. This is the third book in the Supervillain Rescue Project series. This is her young adult superhero series. And in this one, we predominantly follow Marco. He is one of the characters at Camp Sable. And yeah, he's one of the characters. He's one of the teens at Camp Sable. Yeah, he's one of the characters. Okay. Just ignore it. It's not even been that long of a day, but I can't talk, but whatever. Anyways, we're following Marco, and he's trying to go back to live with his mother in California, but she's kind of a neglectful parent. She constantly misses calls from him. His guardians don't want to let him go back because they think she's unreliable, which she is, let's be honest. But then things start happening, sketchy things, when they try to go down there to visit her at one point. Like, she misses the visit just like they thought she would, but Marco thinks something's weird is up with this, and he goes into investigate. Unfortunately, his investigating gets him tangled up with a supervillain group who is trying to kidnap superpowered teenagers, which he's on the list. So yeah, I gave this book 4 stars. I did enjoy it. Also, as part of Marco's point of view, we also jump back and forth between some of the adult characters who are involved. Also with Jake, who is one of the other teens at the camp. He is the predominant main character, Jake is. So Marco and Lele, I believe. Thank you to the subscriber who told me how to pronounce her name. I pronounced that incorrectly the very first time I talked about these books, but I believe I have it correct now. It's Lele. Anyways, those two, they're more side characters. They have each a book that talks about them. Obviously, this is Marco's book. And Power Play was the one where Lele had a big part. Anyways, in this one, Jake also has a lot of things he's going through, so we continually see his point of view as well. And the adults and Jake's point of view basically saved this book from getting 3 stars because Marco annoyed the heck out of me. Marco is a great side character. I don't think he does well as a main character. He annoyed me so much because I've always liked Marco as just like a side character, but as a main character, it's just like, he just kept doing the dumbest things. It's like, I understand what he's doing. He's trying to save his mom. He cares about his mom. But the problem is he kept doing it in all the stupidest ways. I mean, maybe when you're 15, you're that dumb. I don't really remember if I was that stupid when I was 15 or not, but I don't know. But he drove me bonkers. Yeah, I would have dropped the book down if we didn't also focus on Jake and the others trying to find him, plus all their stuff that they were doing as well, because he drove me nuts. But anyways, I still really enjoyed it though. So yeah, 4 stars. The next book I read that's in the same universe, I read Relapsed, which is a short story like prequel to the Supervillain Rehabilitation Project series, which is technically the first series in this universe. I'm reading them all kinds of out of order. And this is just following one of these superhero characters, Fade, as like before we in his life before we meet him in Reformed, which is the first book in that series. I gave it 3 stars. It was okay. I didn't really care for it. You could probably skip it and just read Reformed if you want to get into this series, or you could read it. I don't think it really matters either way. It was interesting seeing his point of view before he meets Prism in the regular series, but yeah, I didn't care beyond that. It was 3 stars. And the last book from that universe that I read I read this in December as one of my Christmas books. It is Superhero for Christmas. This is technically the first book in the Superhero Romance Project series, which this used to be a standalone, but now she's put it as this series, which is pretty much just a bunch of standalones of superheroes having romances. Obviously, it's in the title. But, yeah, this one, we follow Glint, and he basically, after encountering a supervillain at a press conference type thing, he ends up with his powers on the fritz. They're not working correctly, they're keep shorting out, they're not, like, even working at all. So he decides to go undercover, to a small town to where his grandfather used to live. He decides to go to the house there that was left to him and just kind of like try to figure out what he's going to do now that his superpowers have basically disappeared. And while he's there, he runs into Laura, who she is there working. She lives there with her family. She's working at their grocery store when she meets him. But since Glint is kind of in disguise, she's also just kind of wondering, why is this famous superhero in this small podunk little town not out there doing superhero stuff? Because she is a reporter, but basically she got she's like out of a job right now because of her ex-boyfriend that she was working with. He basically fired her, I guess, after they broke up. But yeah, and it is their story, and yeah, it's set around Christmas time, and it was super cute. I really liked this book. Glint is a character, he's a side character, and in some of the books, he's kind of an arrogant irritant. But you can also tell that he has a good heart and he just wants to help people. And he is basically, Laura says it best, he's just basically like a golden retriever. He just wants to do the best thing for people, and he is just such a sweetheart, and I really enjoyed that about him. Just, he's kind of clueless sometimes, but he also just wants to make the best out of everything in his life, and I just really admire that. I really like him. Laura was also a really good character. She's very tenacious. She very much, when she smells a story, she's gonna go after it. And the scenario that she got herself into, though, I was kind of like, from the beginning, I was like, that is not gonna end well. It didn't, but yeah, it's just kind of like from the beginning, I was just like, girl, that is not gonna end well. So yeah, but characters don't listen to me when I talk to them. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed this. This is basically like if you combined a Hallmark Christmas movie with a Marvel movie. That's basically what it is, because we have all the Christmas type stuff, with the superhero action and stuff like that. And honestly, if Hallmark ever picks up this book and makes it into a movie, it will be the only Hallmark movie I would ever watch, because yeah, it's really good. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, really, really enjoyed this. I also really like how Glint and Laura are kind of like this author's Superman and Lois Lane kind of like pairing. I really like that. So yeah, really, really enjoyed this book. Very cute. And the second book in this series also follows them, so I'm very excited to read that in the future. And the other Christmas book I read was Better Watch Out by Natalie Walters. This was actually the YouTube Christian Book Club's pick for the month of December, and I actually read it. Most of the books they've been picking, I either haven't been interested in, or I just haven't read them because, I'm not in the mood for them. But this one, actually, I was not planning on reading, but a friend of mine read it, really liked it, and it was also the book club pick, and my library had it, so I was like, why not? I will try it. So this is like a Christian contemporary suspense. Honestly, even if you're not a Christian, I think you would enjoy it because there's not very much Christian content. I'm actually still debating on whether I should put it under Christian contemporary and Christian suspense in my Goodreads bookshelves, because there's very little in it. There's a couple times characters are mentioned praying and going to church and stuff, but that's pretty much it. So yeah, so I think you would enjoy this whether you're a Christian or not. But in this, basically, we follow two characters. We follow Franny. She basically goes up to New York City to surprise her boyfriend with like a whole list of like Christmas things that they can do together in the city, and well, he dumps her. Because nice move. Yeah, have your girlfriend fly all the way up there. Don't just break up with her over the phone like a normal person. No, actually, just wait until she spends all her money to fly up to New York City and then dump her. Yeah, that's not a jerk face move at all. Anyways, so Franny decides to stay in New York City and kind of like not go home with her tail between her legs because she lives in a really small town and everybody would know about it and she's embarrassed by it. So she decides she's going to stay in the city anyways. However, her older brother is very concerned with her being in the city by herself. So he asks his friend Andrew, who is a bodyguard, to kind of take her, make sure she gets to the airport on time so she can come home and stuff. But in the process of Andrew trying to do that for his friend, Franny ends up getting targeted by some goons who think she is Andrew's client that he is protecting. So yeah, Andrew basically has to protect her as they do this list of Christmas stuff that Franny has. And yeah, it's very interesting because it's mostly a Christmas story with a bit of suspense sprinkled on the side, but I actually really liked it. I was surprised that I liked it so much, actually, because normally contemporary and suspense aren't my thing, mainly because contemporary I tend to find very boring nowadays, and suspense books I generally don't find very suspenseful. So, yeah, and this one wasn't very suspenseful, but it wasn't really meant to be. It was meant to be more of a Christmas story with suspense sprinkled on the side, and I really enjoyed it. I liked the characters, I liked the events, the romance was cute. It was just really enjoyable, and I really enjoyed it. I'm going to see if I can try other books by this author, see if maybe I would like her suspense books. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book, and I rated it 4 stars. Okay, the next book I'm going to talk about is Farah Sun by H.S.J. Williams. This is a gender-bent retelling of Snow White. And in this one, we follow a Fae Prince. I forget his name, and I actually don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm just going to call him the Fae Prince. He has been prophesized to, like, bring the Seelie and the Unseelie courts together. However, the Unseelie, I believe that's the correct one, the more evil side, I think that's the Unseelie court. Anyways, the evil side, they basically take him and they totally, like, mutilate his face and stuff like that. They, like, make it so that he can't talk and just... they basically destroy his life, and so he goes to live in the mountains with these 7 goblins and just kind of live out his life. And then a human huntress named Kiva comes across him and his like little safe haven, and they strike up a friendship, but there is more lurking under the surface than what first appears. I really enjoyed this book. This author, I really enjoyed her book Moonscript, and that was the first one I read by her. I've always been curious about this Snow White retelling, especially because I really like gender-bent tales. When they're done correctly, they're really good. And this one was no exception. I really liked the Fae Prince as the Snow White character. He just really embodied that role in the male side of things, especially he's also a fae, so that was an interesting take on it. This author she writes really... they're not flowery, but she writes in a very descriptive way with like landscapes and all that. I kind of call her a modern J.R. Tolkien. She writes in a very similar way where it feels almost classic storytelling-ish, like if you were reading a fairy tale or a classic fantasy story, but it's modern as well, so it's not so saturated with like description that you're lost. I really enjoy the way she tells stories. I really liked the Fae Prince and Kiva. They both had very distinct personalities, and they also really meshed together. I liked their budding friendship that turned to more, and it was a really well done tale for such a short little book, and yeah, I really liked it. It was really fun, it was really sweet, and the overarching themes of forgiveness was really, really good. Yeah, I just really enjoyed this. It is a little short. It is a novella. I would have preferred it to be a tiny bit longer, but also, yeah, it was also perfect the length it was. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one, and I gave it 4 stars. And the final book I have to talk about today is, I don't think this was my favorite of December because I read Yona as well. My Happy Marriage was good too, but this was probably, manga side, this was probably my favorite novel I read in December of last year, and that is Dance of Rebels by Michaela Bush. This gorgeous cover. This is a very loosely inspired Nutcracker retelling. It is non-magical Christian fantasy, and in it we follow Verity. Verity has just been, along with most people, or most young people in her kingdom, they have been hiding, basically because the grand captain of this kingdom and the royal family and stuff, they basically force people to dance in these, like, dancing productions where basically they sell people. It's basically talking about human trafficking, so there is that. And Verity's brother gets caught up in this. Her older brother gets basically kidnapped, and he's forced to be in this dancing thing, so Verity decides to go after him and save him so that he can come back and take care of the younger brother, because she thinks he will do a better job than she will in protecting him. So she ends up sneaking onto the ship where all these captive dancers have been taken, and they're being taken to a different kingdom, and she runs across a rebel soldier who is also there. He's trying to do the same thing, and they kind of team up together to defeat this darkness in their land and to hopefully free all the captives. And it is really, really good. Like I said, this does talk about human trafficking in a very sensitive yet hard way, because the author does not shy from the reality of such a terrible thing that is going on in our world, or in this fantasy world. She shows it for what it is, but without the grotesque details. I mean, things are alluded to, obviously, of what this terrible thing is, but she alludes to it in a way that it's subtle, but it's also very much, what she's talking about, but without it being too heavy-handed. It is I wouldn't say it's a very dark book. It does have dark places, but hope and light definitely conquer in the end. And yeah, I really enjoyed the characters. We pretty much see most of it from Verity's perspective. We also get the rebel soldier's perspective as well. And yeah, Verity just definitely is, I feel like Verity is very much, at least for me, she's very much for me of like somebody who doesn't think they have courage, even though in certain situations you do. And I think she very well, Verity shows that side of people of like, you don't think you're courageous enough, but you actually are. And if you're really pushed to do it, you will just go out and do what God has called you to do. And I just really like how she had that doubt about herself, but she did it anyways. Also, the rebel soldier, he is a sweetheart. I love him. And there is a romance between the two of them, and they are so cute. Literally, their relationship did add a very much a beam of light into this story, because they are just adorable together, and I love them. Yeah, this whole story is really, really good. I also really like how Michaela wove in the Nutcracker, and how that worked into the story, because basically the Nutcracker is like a story that Verity's father told her younger brother, and that gets woven into the story, and just other tiny little Nutcracker elements. Like I said, this is more loosely inspired by the fairy tale rather than a direct retelling, but yeah, it is really, really good. The climax is The climax and the epilogue are probably my favorite parts because there's just so much there. You can just feel the emotion of this whole book, and it's amazing. I highly recommend this book. Even though it does talk about a harsh topic, it's in such a godly and sympathetic way, showing the darkness but also showing the light as well. And just, yeah, it's really, really good. I thoroughly enjoyed this book and I gave it 5 stars. Also, it has a beautiful cover. I mean, yes. Can we all agree that this has a pretty cover? Yes. And yeah, I gave this book 5 stars. Okay, and that is it, I think. Let me check the list. That is it. Those are all the books I have to talk about today. Thankfully, a much more upbeat thankfully a much more upbeat video than the last one I did, which most of them I didn't like. But so yeah, I'm really glad I could bring a more positive recent reads this time around. And yeah, thank you so much for you guys for watching. I hope you enjoy, and I will see you next time. Bye.